It's 11 a.m. here in Seoul. I'm Yoon Jung-min at the Arirang News Center. We're breaking to our regular programming to bring you a live briefing from the South Korean health authorities on the coronavirus outbreak. In just a few moments, we will cut into the briefing at Seoul Government Complex with simultaneous interpretation in English. Today, Son Young-rae, a spokesperson for the Health and Welfare Ministry, will be sharing the latest figures and updates on the COVID-19 situation in Korea. So let's take a listen.
We also have Mr. Park Jong-hyun joining us during the briefing. And we also have Ms. Ko Eun-mi with the sign language translation. First of all, here is Mr. Son Young-rae on the explanation on the COVID-19 situation. Let us now begin our regular briefing for July 29th, Wednesday. As of today midnight, we have a total of 14 new local infections and 34 new imported cases. The total number of confirmed cases now stands at 14,251, while 882 people are in quarantine. Yesterday, we had no additional fatality, and the death toll now stands at 300. This morning, the KCDC held a meeting presided over by Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun. We also discussed many issues, including the quarantine measures for the ports, as well as additional measures to help the return of the Korean workers from Iraq, as well as preparing us for the second semester. And Prime Minister Chung Se-kyun has said that in order for us to curb and contain another outbreak, just like the case stemming from the Russian flagged vessels, we need to make sure that we need to intensify quarantine measures. And he also said that we need to help the South Korean construction workers to return from Iraq additionally. As of now, we have today 14 new local infections. We believe that we are recovering our management capacity over these new local infections. And as for regions, we are seeing a large decrease in the major regions, including Daejeon and the Chungcheong provinces, and also in Jeolla province as well. And in treatments-wise as well, we have 882 people in quarantine undergoing treatment, and there are only 12 people who are with critical conditions. And currently, we have about 2,100 beds for these critical condition patients, and we believe that our medical capacity is at a management level. However, we are still seeing a sporadic outbreak in the metropolitan area, and we ask the residents here in the metropolitan area to continue to stay vigilant. However, on the other hand, globally, we are seeing a widespread of the COVID-19 patients, and we are seeing an increase in the number of imported cases, which will continue going forward. To this end, the government will make sure that no imported cases goes to and makes a further transmission through the local community, and we will intensify our measures going forward as well. We have designated high-risk countries to a total of 6, and we are mandating all of the foreign entrants to also submit a PCR negative document, and we believe that these joint measures have decreased the outbreak and decreased the number of imported cases here in Korea. And as for the Russian flagged ship that has seen a massive outbreak, we are intensifying the quarantine for these vessels as well, and we are also carrying out a revision of the law so that the foreign entrants would also shoulder the burdens for medical costs going forward. And to this end, we also discussed during the earlier meeting measures to intensify our quarantine measures on harbors. And after we discussed this issue first time on the 26th, we have carried out massive inspections for about 300 harbor facilities. And we also have put in place administrative orders for about 130 related companies. And in the latter half of this year, we have in schedule about 38,000 vessels to come into Korea. And as for the fishing vessels, we have about 1,500 to be scheduled in coming to Korea. And we believe that these vessels could have a large contact with the South Korean workers. So on top of this, we will also provide our remote inspections so for the maintenance workers, so that we can also decrease the level of contact with the sailors. We will continue to cooperate with the related ministries to carry out related training and education sessions. Starting from the 3rd of August, all of the 6 countries subject to intensified quarantine, as well as those coming from Russia, all of the sailors need to submit their PCR negative document that has been issued 48 hours prior to their departure. With the COVID-19 spread, we have seen the number of countries intensifying their border lockdowns, as well as the cancellation of flights. To this end, we will expand and extend the period of time of stay to the foreign workers up until 50 days, and we will also adopt a grace period so that they can stay in Korea on a legal basis. However, they cannot get jobs, so they have some difficulties and limitations. Therefore, we will also enable some of the foreign workers who are eligible to get a temporary working visa. We will also shift their stay so that they can temporarily work for the seasonal jobs for about 3 months, and we will cooperate closely with the Ministries of Justice, Marine Affairs, as well as Agricultural Affairs. We believe that they could help to work in the rural area and also meet the demand of the work and laborers in the industry as well. And this could also prevent a black market of these such workers. And from Iraq, we have additional South Korean construction workers scheduled to come back. Starting from July 24th, we have successfully returned 293 people from Iraq, and also we will have 70 additional South Korean construction workers to return from Iraq. And we will also believe that they will go through the same procedures as those did in the first round of the return. So upon entry into an airport, they will be tested, and if they don't have symptoms, they will be moved to the temporary shelter place where they will get tested for the PCR testings. And as for the 77 people who have tested positive among those who have come into Korea, they have been administered at the National Public Medical Center, and a total of 216 people are currently staying on self-quarantine at a special temporary shelter place. And there were no additional case of further transmissions to the local community. And next, we have some updates on our preparations for the fall semester. And during the first semester, as for all of the foreign students studying here in Korea, upon their entry, we also have successfully and safely transported them to their residences, and a total of 23 people have been tested positive for the virus among these people. And there were 0 cases of local transmissions as well. And we believe that from about 240 countries, we have about 500,000 students that could come back to Korea during the next semester. And we believe that if they come in a group and if they come in congested, we believe that this could also have great burdens on our administrative capacity. So therefore, we will also prepare some temporary shelter places so they can be on self-quarantine. And we will also be asking the universities and schools to have proactive monitoring sessions as well. And the government will also make sure that we will curb the virus spreading from these foreign students. Up until now, we have been highlighting numerous times. However, for time being, we believe that it is impossible for us to contain the COVID-19 virus fully. We will be able to live with the virus for a long time going forward. And we believe that even the vaccine is developed, we believe that they could be commercialized commercialized by the middle of next year. And until then, we believe that we need to live with the virus. And therefore, it is very important for us to how wisely we can contain the virus going forward, and also how we can strike a balance between the quarantine and routine daily lives. As of now, we are seeing a stable decline in the number of local infections here in South Korea. However, with the global pandemic, we are seeing an increase of the imported cases. Because we have an economy that is highly dependent on the international society, and because the international community is highly connected, we believe that it is very difficult for us to cut off our exchange with other countries. We believe that these could lead to diverse adversities, and therefore it is very important for us right now to minimize the number of imported cases, which is on a steady rise, and to make sure that we can manage the imported cases so that they do not spread to the local infections. As for the temporary shelter facilities, we believe that this is a facility that works as a safeguarding measure against the safety of our public. During the 14th day of self-quarantine, we believe that we are cutting down the exchanges between our public with the imported cases so that we can curb the virus going forward. And we have seen some of the oppositions from the residents as well as the merchants in certain regions when we were trying to install these facilities. And up until now, there have been about 200,000 people who have been administered at these temporary shelter places. However, there were zero number of cases where they spread the virus to the local community. So we believe that you can be assured and going forward as well. And please do not be overly fearful of the virus, and please refrain from doing so going forward as well. And please help us in cooperating with the quarantine measures so that we can protect the safety of the members of the public citizens. The central government will also, going forward, we will make sure that these facilities do not lead to further outbreak going forward. Thank you very much.
네, 지금부터 질의응답 시간을 가지겠습니다. 배석자분들은 단상 위로 올라와 주시기 바랍니다.
That was Son Young-nae, spokesperson for the Health and Welfare Ministry, who just updated us on the COVID-19 situation in South Korea. As we heard, there were 48 new cases today. Of them, 34 were imported. That brings the total to 14,251. There were no additional deaths. That wraps up our coverage of the briefing this morning. Thank you for staying with us. We will be back with our regular newscast at noon Korea time. Goodbye.